Good evening. Welcome to the Monday Night Live Real Estate Call-In Show with Coach Mike. I'm your host, Rick Davis. If you don't follow me on Instagram, I urge you to do so at Prime Real Estate Rick. If you're looking to buy, sell, or invest in residential or commercial real estate anywhere in the great state of Texas, but especially here in our lovely city of Houston, you can reach me directly on Instagram at Prime Real Estate Rick. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here with you this week, just like it is every Monday evening here in the 7 o'clock hour. And I want to thank everyone in our audience for tuning in. If you have not been involved in our show before, I urge you to do so. Take your smartphone, record yourself asking a relevant real estate question, and you never know. You can submit it to the Monday Night Live Real Estate Call-In line you see here on the screen, and our producers may very well choose your question to be answered on tonight's show. I want to thank my co-host. He's not only one of the most successful real estate brokers here in the state of Texas, but he is also the co-founder of Brooks and Davis Real Estate Firm. I want to welcome to the Monday Night Live show and welcome and introduce to our audience my co-host, Coach Mike, Mr. Michael G. Davis. How you doing, Mike?
What's going on, Prime Real Estate Rick? Man, excited to be here another Monday night. Drop some gems on for some people. The industry hashtag the industry broker is in the building. What's up, man?
Hey, man, it's great to have you here, man. As always, I want to thank you for sitting in with us. We've been getting such a positive response with the real estate call-in show, man, that it's just something that we just got to keep going because I think it's starting to snowball and gain momentum, man. So I just want to thank you for carving some time out your Monday evening schedule to sit in.
Hey, man, we got to do it, man. The people need it, Rick. They need questions answered. They need somebody to answer their questions, somebody to pick up the phone when they call in. Like they need somebody with a certain level of expertise to help move their business to the next level. So we want to provide that every Monday night, every Monday evening. We want to provide that for realtors, especially new realtors coming into the business.
Absolutely, man. So since we last had the opportunity to sit in with you, Coach Mike, man, what's been going on in the world of Brooks and Davis Real Estate Firm and with Coach Mike?
Man, you know, we're always staying busy, right? We had our a great Realtor Life podcast interview with Miss Lala Vaughn. She spoke about her go-to transaction management service. You know, that is a phenomenal platform, Rick, for individuals, real estate professionals to come and just showcase what they're passionate about outside of real estate, right? I feel like people tend to put us in a box as real estate professionals that, oh, you're just a realtor, you're at my beck and call. And that's not necessarily the case. We have things that we're interested in, Rick. It ain't just about real estate. Like I spent my whole weekend, Rick, dealing with baseball, right? We're a baseball family. My son, we had some tournaments today. And even today, I was dealing with baseball. It's something that we enjoy as a family. It's something that we participate in. So that Realtor Life podcast is a phenomenal platform. We had a great guest on last Tuesday. We had a training, brought in a brother out of Dallas, Mr. Kevin Ards. He spoke about the value. He actually talked about an insurance policy that you can access, a life insurance policy that you can access while still living, that had a living benefit. I didn't even know those things existed, Rick, but we were able to learn about that last week when he spoke to the team. So again, we're always doing great things. We had a phenomenal study hall. We do those twice a month. Phenomenal study hall, great opportunity for our new agents, for our affiliate members, our non-licensed affiliate members to just engage myself, engage our head of agent development, ask us questions, offer some perspective on what to expect once you get into this business. Rick, nobody else is doing that for people. Nobody else is doing that for people. So, and because we see it as a gap, we've decided to pick up the mantle and go ahead and fill that gap in our industry for those who need it. So another jam-packed week, Rick, and you know, looking forward to what we have in store this week.
One of the best things about being a partner over and working with everyone over at Brooks and Davis Real Estate Firm is that we not only educate the affiliate members, we don't also only educate the realtors that work with us, but there's avenues that we use like tonight's call-in show where we actually help to service those consumers, those buyers, sellers, and investors. And just like every week, we have some really great questions queued up for you, Coach Mike. So if you're ready to get it going, man, I want to get to our first question from the text line.
Let's do it, man. When I get to shaking my hands like that, man, it's ready. I'm ready to take off. Let's go.
Let's get it going. Let's check out our first question from the text line. And it reads, Coach Mike, once you've been pre-approved by one lender, is it possible to change lenders if the first lender's origination fees are too high?
Ah, man. Well, look, I would say absolutely, Rick, because at the end of the day, as a real estate professional, you want to do a service to your client. And at the point of what we're all doing is to get people in the houses. Well, people got to be able to afford it. They got to be able to afford to get into the house. And if a lender's origination fees are pricing that buyer out of being able to use that lender or use that lender's product, then as professionals, we absolutely have to find another opportunity. Now, it's a relationship building. I mean, it's a relationship business. So we have relationships with those entities that work in parallel to what we're doing, like our mortgage professionals, like our inspectors, like our title companies. So if we do have to do that, right? If we have to make a transition, because in essence, we're pulling money out of their pocket. If we have to do it, because again, our fiduciary responsibility is to our client. But if we have to do it, then we have to respect the relationship enough to have that conversation with people. What I really hate, Rick, is when people just bounce, right? They don't say nothing. They just pull the client. They don't call they've been calling the lender been calling them, and then now they ain't answering the lender's phone call, right? They just kind of leaving the lender high and dry. Don't do that. Respect your relationships, man. If you're going to have to make a move on behalf of the client, people understand that. Because look, no one expects any of us to put the client in jeopardy just to put money in our pocket. And if that's the case, in all honesty, that's not somebody that you really want to be in partnership with, because they're not doing the business the right way. So respect the relationship, had a conversation with them, but it's absolutely possible to make an adjustment when you've worked with one lender, move to another. And it doesn't just have to be because of origination fees. It could be a multitude of reasons why you want to move in a different, or why the client, not even just you, why the client wants to move in a different direction with another lender. But you got to respect the relationship enough to have that conversation with your partner.
Absolutely. I agree totally. And I think that communication, that relationship building that goes into building your real estate business is something that we always got to keep on the forefront of our consciousness, especially when we're making decisions to not only help our clients, but also respect the relationships we have with our business partners. So I urge everyone in the audience, especially those who've had a similar question, to heed your advice and put it into practice.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, yes, yes.
Hey, and also, Coach Mike, this question came in off our text line. So I want to thank everyone who's checking us out on Facebook. If you're checking us out on Facebook Live, get into the comments section, get into the chat, send Coach Mike a question, because as Coach Mike can attest, you'll be surprised. Some of our best questions come organically while we're actually here producing and recording this show for everyone. So I urge everyone on Facebook, man, definitely ask your questions. There is no question that hadn't been answered before or something that you should be embarrassed to ask publicly. So let's definitely get involved.
Yeah, let's jump in the chat, baby.
Those are
the best shows, when we're answering questions out of the chat.
But Coach Mike, this is a call-in show. So we do have a question from a caller. So if you're ready to check out our second question, I want you to see how this call-in question fits you, Coach.
Let's go.
Let's check it out.
Hi, Coach Mike. This is Amber from Spring, Texas. How long can the seller take to respond to my offer?
Oh, wow. Okay.
Now, that's deep. That's deep, especially right now in such a competitive market, Coach. So what you think?
I mean, unless you've put stipulations in the contract saying, if this offer will expire in 24 hours or 48 hours or 72 hours, the seller can take however long it takes to respond. He may not respond at all, and there is no obligation to the response. So the only way that you can enforce a swift response is saying that frame. Now that's something that's very common in commercial. It's very common in commercial transactions for offers to have an expiration date, but it's not one of those things that are typically found common in the residential space. So we can't say that. In my opinion, Rick, from a negotiation space, I really wouldn't even put those kind of stipulations around it, because the reality is some of the best negotiations, they take time, right? It ain't no rush. The one that is hindered by time it has lost leverage, right? So anytime that somebody else is under the gun, somebody else has a deadline, even if it's a perceived deadline or a false deadline, but if it's a deadline and they place themselves under the power of that deadline, then from a negotiation space, you put yourself in a good spot. So I know there are some people from a negotiation space that they use that technique. They like to apply that level of pressure and anxiety on people. I don't typically go with that from a negotiation space, because sometimes it causes people to become irrational. When a person becomes irrational and they begin to make irrational decisions, then that could blow your whole situation up. So you always want to make sure that you have people at a level of comfort so they can think clearly, even if they're not going to get what they want, because they can rationalize it and they're comfortable through their rationalization. It enhances your chance for you to get a better. You may not get exactly what you want, but you'll get a lot closer to what you want versus somebody just killing it outright because they're not in the right mental state or the right emotional state, because now you've created this environment that is somewhat toxic. So I wouldn't necessarily rush the seller, like, because think of it, Rick. They want to sell their house. They want to sell it, right? You want to buy it. They want to sell it. You already know they want to sell it. So that's a presumption that you can make going into it. You want to sell it. So it's not one of those things that you're gonna keep me hanging. Now I know some realtors feel like, well, what if they accept your offer and then they try to use your offer to leverage other offers? Hey, it may happen. But guess what? A seller gonna want to try to get as much as he can. So 9 times out of 10, even if he do use your offer to try to leverage other offers, he gonna come back to you and say, hey, look, will you offer more? Will you offer higher? I got something else. And then now the ball's back in your court, because guess what? Your client can say yes or they can say no. You're always in a power position, right? And understand that. So send them the offer, because just like they may leverage it, they may not. They may not get nothing else. They may hold on to it and try to leverage it and realize they're not getting nothing else. And then again, that puts you in a greater power position. Like, hey, let's get it done. So that I want people to understand that it's no obligation around a seller having to respond, and you shouldn't even expect it. I'll say that.
What do you speak towards the market where sometimes, especially in a competitive market like we have here in Houston, sometimes buyers get frustrated because they believe that the offers aren't accepted on a first come, first served basis. I think that's where a lot of these type of questions come from, Coach Mike, is that they feel as if there's an advantage to submitting their offer first versus being one of many offers to be received. So just for those potential buyers out there in the market, could you just speak towards a little about their expectation of a first come, first serve in the resale market as far as offers?
Yeah, man, it's just not one of those things, Rick.
Right.
That's just not how it works, right? It's like, just like in any market, no market operates like that. No market operates first come, first serve, right? It's if you have options, the person that has options is the one that's sitting in the power position. That's just kind of what it is. So when it's a buyer's market, who has the options? The buyer. The buyer got the options, right? They're the ones sitting in the power position. Well, when you're in a seller's market, who got the option? The seller. And that's just what it is. So you as a buyer or as a real estate professional, you cannot fabricate your power position if that ain't the market that you in.
Exactly.
I mean, it's nothing that you can do. It's nothing that buyer can do. It's nothing that can be done. So what you have to do is you just have to understand this is the perspective that we're coming from. Understand that when in a seller's market, it ain't about getting a deal, right? And that's what you're shooting for, putting yourself in a position to get accepted. And you have to understand that it may take 1 or 2 or 3 shots at it before you get it. Right? It may be like that. So what we have to do a better job of, Rick, is that we have to do a better job of managing the client's expectations, educating them. It's just not enough education going on. See, what we're trying to do, Rick, is we're trying to educate in our marketing for people to choose us, to hire us, versus when a person hires us, educating them from a service standpoint. So their customer experience will be better. See, we got it flipped, right? People don't choose people. Like education, like meaning I'm gonna go with this agent because they explained to me what earnest money meant. Like that's not how people are picking who they work with, right?
Right.
I'm gonna go with this agent because they educated me on what the title company is. Like they know the customer base. They're not in school. They're not here to learn how to be a realtor. Like they don't need to know all that stuff. You want to educate the client just enough to where they'll be comfortable and they don't feel like they're in a fog as they're going through the process. But it's not for you to train them as realtors, right? So where we're trying to educate and capture new business, we need to be taking that energy, Rick. We need to adjust our marketing strategy, and we need to attract business a different way. And we need to use that strategy to educate our clients. So when you have these situations and these frustrations that come because the client feels like it's a first come, or they have this perception, you got to come in and reframe it. And that has to be done at your buyer consultation or your time that you're working with that client to enhance their customer experience. That's how it needs to be approached, Rick.
I understand totally, man. You did such a great job of elaborating and giving that next level analysis of the why. Because so many times people have questions and they never get that question satisfactorily answered. So I appreciate you for being so candid and transparent, man.
Absolutely, man.
So see, audience, this is why we ask. Record yourself on your smartphone asking Coach Mike a relevant real estate question, because when you submit it to the text line, our producers check out and the best questions actually make the air. So, Coach, thanks a lot.
Absolutely. That was a good one, Rick.
This one we got coming up is even better because this is a question that is coming in on the text line that I've received so many times. You've received so many times, but I'm glad you'll have opportunity to answer this question publicly. So if you're ready to get into question number 3, Coach, we can check out question number 3 from the text line.
Let's go, man. Let's do it.
Let's check out the text line question number 3. Check this out, Coach Mike. Question: how much do I have to pay an agent to help me buy a house?
Oh man, boys out there paying. That's what's going on, Rick? Man, these buyers out here paying their agents.
Hey, we have to bust myths. So let's talk about some of the information and or misinformation that people in the public may be hearing as far as this subject, Coach.
No, absolutely. So, the reality is, Rick, the Department of Justice, man, the Department of Justice is working. And when I say Department of Justice, meaning the United States Department of Justice is working very hard to prevent us from telling buyers that the service is free. Did you know that, Rick?
No, I was not aware.
They are working very diligently to prevent us, realtors, real estate professionals, from being able to tell buyers that the service is free, right? What they really want to get to the point, this is what they're really pushing. And that's why it's important. Realtors, hey, support your association. Whether you agree with some of the things that they're doing or what they're not doing, your realtor association is going to bat for common goals. One of them, it has to do with this right here for our profession, through their political action committees, through how they lobby and politic up in Washington, D.C., as well as in your local area. So, but the Department of Justice is really going after that, because the way that it's set up, Rick, you know this, the listing agent negotiates a commission with the seller, right? A lot of times that's 6%, right? I'm not saying all the time. A lot of times it's 6%. Well, what that listing agent does is says, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to market the property. I'm going to put it out there. I'm going to expose it, right? And if I procure the buyer, and if that buyer decides that they don't want representation, which a buyer can absolutely decide that, if they decide they don't want representation, then that 6% commission that the listing agent negotiated is all his, right? That makes sense. Okay. So even in that instance, the buyer still has not paid anything for the service. All right. Now he hasn't had representation, but the transaction's been managed. It's been facilitated, and he got the house. Didn't have to pay anything for it as it relates to the real estate professionals. Now, in most instances, a buyer's agent who has procured a client, and that client has hired them to find their dream home, to help find their next opportunity. Well, that buyer's agent is the one that brings that listing agent the client. They say, hey, I have a client. They're looking for what you're selling. Let's work together. Let's cooperate. That's why we call it cooperating brokers. Let's cooperate in helping connect this buyer and this seller together, finalize the transaction, make everybody happy. Let's work together. And for doing that, the listing agent says, you know what? That's a great idea. Since we're going to cooperate together, then I'm going to share my commission with you for cooperating with me to help this buyer and this seller come together and finalize their transaction, right? So with that representation that buyer's agent is having with the buyer, so their responsibility is completely and solely to their buyer. That's their client. They're going to negotiate for them. They're going to look out for what's best for them. True representation, but yet the compensation is going to be shared amongst the realtors. So it is a situation or a scenario where that buyer who has this representation is not paying anything for it, right? Now, the DOJ don't want us to say that it's a free service to the buyer, all right? You don't pay for it. The last time I checked, Rick, if I got something that I didn't pay for, it's free. Last time I checked, it's free. If I didn't pay for it, it's free, right? But the DOJ don't want us to say that. And they don't want us to say that because we're getting paid to help them. That still ain't got nothing to do with it being free. Just because we getting paid, it's free to them. They're not paying for it. It's free. So that's how it works. In most instances, the buyer is not paying for it, for the service. They're getting the representation, right? They're getting the fiduciary responsibility. They have somebody that's in their corner, making sure that they're taken care of from top to bottom, all I's dotted, all T's crossed, a focus on the customer experience to ensure they get their end game. And if they're a really good realtor, like I know at Brooks and Davis, like I know with you, Rick, and some of the other agents that we have, it doesn't just stop with the transaction. That's a lifelong relationship. That realtor stays with that client past, the first or 2 years, the first or second year that they're in the house, so they can understand from a maintenance standpoint. Under a lot of people, if you ain't never bought a house before, you don't know. There are things that you're not aware of that you don't realize until you move into it. So to have your realtor there to help you even after the transaction understand things like how the water heater works and how to maintain that, how to maintain the foundation, how to maintain the roof, how to get life out of your HVAC system. You know, just those things that comes with owning a home that a new person would know. The realtor is there to help you with that. Again, doesn't cost anything. Doesn't cost the buyer, right? Regardless
of cost to the buyer is the most important part. No cost to the buyer.
No cost to the buyer is the most important part, right? So if an agent is charging, like if you're going to purchase a home and an agent is charging you a fee to do that, I mean, I'm not saying, look, you use who you want to use. I'm gonna say that, Rick. But all I'm saying is there are options out there that agents are not charging buyers because we're having a shared compensation from the listing agent. All right. Now, there are some new things that are surfacing because we're in this highly competitive sellers market. So I want to be total transparency, right? Because it's so competitive with the sellers and the sellers market, a lot of sellers are not offering the 6% that has been common in the past. Some of them are offering 5%. Some of them, I've seen some of them go as low as 4.5%, Rick. I had one buyer's agent, they wasn't getting 3%. They was getting 2.25% because the seller was only willing to pay 4.5%. Now, in some instances, if the buyer's agent's rate is 3%, but the listing side or the seller side is only paying 2.5%, that buyer's agent may ask that buyer to supplement the other 0.5% that buyer's agent is not receiving. I have seen that, and to be candid with you, Rick, I don't have a problem with that because in reality, the level of service and the level that for what the buyer's agent is, what the buyer's receiving as it relates to representation, it's worth 3%, right? It's worth the amount. The buyer's agent, I know the buyer's agents that I work with, that I train, that I develop, the level of value and service that they provide, it's well worth 3%, if not more. So in those instances, hey, paying that extra 5% is valuable because I promise you, not having a realtor represent you, Rick, is going to cost a buyer way more money than if they had to pay 0.5% or something like that.
And I agree with you totally. And for those in the audience, especially those buyers, I don't want you all to get extra caught up in who pays what and why. Just know when you work with Brooks and Davis Real Estate Firm, the agents there that work with us, Michael and myself, the compensation that the agents earn comes at no cost to the buyer. And I think as long as everyone in our audience can wrap their mind around that, if they have any questions, they can reach out to you directly, reach out to myself, and we can definitely get them pointed in the right direction because you'll be surprised how that type of idea can be kind of confused in the market. And people, for whatever reason, Coach Mike, everyone's really starting to become a lot more obsessed with how real estate professionals are compensated. So
that's because they're looking at too much TV, Rick.
And then and that's why they come to us every Monday night, Coach, man. And every time we get towards the end of our half hours on Mondays, it's just amazing because there's just so many other angles to real estate and so many angles and so many other questions we could get to. But that's why I urge everyone in our office to follow Brooks and Davis on Facebook. Follow Coach Mike on Instagram. Follow Brooks and Davis Real Estate Firm on Instagram and get involved with all of the activities that we have as a brokerage every week, Coach. So like you do every Monday, could you just share some of the upcoming activities that are planned at Brooks and Davis Real Estate Firm this week?
Absolutely. Real quick. We have another Real to Life podcast. We're bringing in a agent, Mr. A.K. Babers. He's an event planner and an investor. So we're going to be talking to him on tomorrow at 12:30. Again, going live on Facebook, going live on YouTube. Make sure you visit the events page on our website. to be able to register for any of the events that we have coming up. And our events are open to all licensed agents. I said it, all licensed agents. It ain't just Brooks and Davis agent, right? If you're a licensed professional, you can come to our events. If you're a non-licensed person, but you're in the process of getting your license, you can still come to our events, Rick. You just got to become one of our affiliate members. So we open it up to everybody. Everybody has an opportunity. So we're going to be interviewing Mr. A.K. Babers at 2:30. We're going to be doing our mastermind through tough times. You know, we do it every Tuesday. Just real estate professionals talking about randomness. Our random topic tomorrow has to do with the rodeo. We've survived to see another Houston rodeo. It's time to get it done, Rick.
Absolutely, man. There's so many great things that's going on every week, Coach. I don't know where you guys get the energy, what's going on over there in the office, but keep it up, man. It's outstanding.
Look, Rick, somebody got to do it, man. Rick, tomorrow is 2-2-2-2-2, Rick. It's got to go down, man. You can't help it.
Absolutely.
So we're doing that. And then on Wednesday, we're bringing in Miss Jamila Hodge with Capital Title. Look, everyone needs a title company that can handle all types of transactions. So Jamila's going to come in. They're going to talk. I mean, they're investor friendly, Rick. So,
wow.
Yeah. So for your investor clients who need a title relationship that is versed in some of the creativity, I would say, that investors do from a real estate space, Jamila Hodge and her team, they're going to be educating us on that on this Wednesday at 12 o'clock. Again, anybody that's licensed can attend. We are going to be having some food's provided. So make sure you go to the website, to the events page, and register your seat so we'll know who all's coming. But yeah, so another exciting week. Rick, can't wait to get it going.
And I want to invite everyone on Thursdays. If you have not had the opportunity, please visit the Prime Real Estate Network channel on YouTube. Last week, we had an opportunity to have what we like to call our new home buyer's guide for 2022. So if you're in the market, if you're a buyer and you're thinking about residential purchases, a commercial purchase, or even a purchase from an investment perspective, check out the Prime Real Estate Network podcast on our YouTube channel. You can look at our last week's episode or any of our prior episodes, and you become a lot more well-versed to what to expect in the greater Houston market here in 2022. Man, Coach Mike, man, you know, it's always an honor and pleasure doing this with you, brother, man. I want to thank you so much. The gems you drop on us every week are something that are so invaluable. I hope everybody in our audience are taking advantage of these tidbits and gems and putting them into their real estate practice, man.
Absolutely. And look, they don't have to wait till Monday, Rick. I'm the #industries, the self-proclaimed industries broker. Hit me on IG at CEO Coach Mike or through the Brooks and Davis Facebook business page or the YouTube channel. Hit me in the comments. If you have questions, hit me on Messenger. If you got questions, I'm gonna answer your question. If your broker won't answer the phone, I will answer your questions for you. Let's get it going.
Absolutely, man. Thank you so much, Coach Mike. On behalf of myself, Rick Davis, and Mr. Michael G. Davis, CEO, Coach Michael Brooks and Davis Real Estate Firm, I thank everybody in the audience for tuning in. Until next Monday night, if you need anything, me and Coach Mike are just a text, DM, inbox, message, or phone call away. And if you need anything in the meantime, in between time, you can visit us at brooksanddavis.com. So until next Monday evening, everyone out there in the audience, please be safe and be blessed. Whoa,
That was